Welcome back to the Shuffle Squad. Zach Lesage here. Today we're going to be covering over a tier list of the best decks in format as we approach San Antonio Regionals. We just saw Birmingham and Rio de Janeiro Regionals have some different decks, namely going to be Palkia Terrapagos and Terrapagos Dusknoir coming back. I added a few other decks onto this list just because I think they made day two, or maybe I took some suggestions from the comments. So as always, check out the comment section, type maybe some suggestions there for future videos or anything of the sort, and maybe your deck will end up on the tier list, maybe it won't, but I do get back to every single comment. Like, share, subscribe as well to this. Let's get to 25k subs. I'm going to rank these things based off of my personal opinion on how I think they are in our current metagame, and just kind of give a quick little jot of opinion. This is going to be really similar to my top 10 best decks video that goes out every single Friday. It's really going to be kind of an extended version of that because I only do 10 decks there. You might see how a deck is placed here comparatively. And I mean, we're going to jump into it. And I like doing the S1 1.5 to 2.53. It doesn't necessarily make it super... some people just like doing 1, 2, 3 or whatever. I think that's really hard to tier decks. I think this gives us a little bit more of a direct approach to where decks are with me still being productive and nice to some decks. We're gonna start off with Ancient Box. I think I did alphabetical order, and Ancient Box is going to, I think we gotta put it at 2. Now the reason why I'm putting it at 2 is because S is going to be reserved for the best decks in formats. 1 is going to be reserved for the decks just under that, and I think there's only a few S tier decks. I think 1.5 is the decks that can really hang with the rest. I mean, if there was a 1.75, Ancient Box would probably be there. The biggest thing about Ancient Box that's knocking it into the 2 is that we saw Charizard win in Birmingham, and I think, as much as I think it does okay against Terrapagos Dusknoir and Palkia and a handful of the other decks, it's one of those things where, like, you're likely to face Charizard. I still might pull the trigger on playing Ancient Box, but that's where it's at. Also, if you need any of the cards for any decks in format, check out Kayfabe Cards. They probably got some Prismatic Evolutions cards. The singles may be available for you to purchase. Also, you can check out ptcgostore.com and pick up some Prismatic Evolution code cards using code TSS5. We're gonna go into the Dawn. I think Dawn is well positioned into our current metagame, and I think I'm gonna probably put it at, I either want to put it at 2 or 2.5, like 2 or 1.5. I think just because it has that strong matchup against Regidrago, that's where I want to put it at 1.5. I don't think any of like the other new decks are doing anything crazy against it. 220 is a solid number into our format to hit the right things. Next up, Ceruledge with Palkia. Considering Ceruledge can struggle against Charizard and Drago a little bit, I'm probably going to put this one at 2.5. I just don't think it like holds its own. I might actually put it at 3. I just don't think it's super well positioned in our current metagame right now. Our format doesn't have Prismatic for our regionals. So if anyone's like, hey, how come you don't have it? Because Bidoo makes it so much better. It's at 3 right now because of that. Same reason I'm going to put Chen-pao there. I think Chen-pao can struggle with Regidrago. It can struggle with Charizard. Not always, but Charizard has an opportunity to board wipe with Dusknoir. Chen-pao's just not super well positioned right now, in my opinion. Feel free to prove me wrong, right? I think one of my biggest things is, like, I'm not always going to be right. Come to the regionals and show me that I'm wrong. And that's not like a come up to my face and be mean. It's more like, go to the regionals, go have that 8-0 run. And I think, like, a lot of people, like, I started off as a player that just went to League as well, all the way back in 2004, 2005, and like, that's it. So Charizard, I think we got to put S tier right now. Charizard has just been rocking this format. I was debating putting it at 1, but it's not there yet. So sorry, it's not there yet. It was there. I think with his regionals win, I'm just gonna push it above the edge, because there's really like just 2 decks that like are running it right now. Okay, we got Gardevoir. Gardevoir is going to be our first deck in number 1. Reason being, I think it's up there with the other S tier decks. It just didn't get that big win yet. Something's holding it back. A group of players that's playing it is fantastic, so it has all the right pieces. It might end up S tier by the end of this week, depending on how San Antonio goes. But right now, I think I gotta give it to 1. We got Dragapult Dusknoir. Now, this is where I consider Dragapult Dusknoir to me is just I want to put it at like 2.5. It seems actually like it might be better. Like it's like if it would be like a 2.25 if we could give it a ranking, because with all like the Terrapagos decks popping up, it seems to be better positioned. But right now it's just like 2 is kind of like my definition of decks. Like 1.5 to 2 are decks that are like they will make day 2. Archaludon might see more success than Ancient Box, kind of. That's really where that middle line goes. 2.5 is like you might be able to make day 2, but not like you have to be like kind of an expert player. 3 is like kind of out of format, out of date, not enough knowledge. Could do okay in the hands of a player. Like, I mean, we saw United Wings make day 2 at Birmingham. Anything could really happen. So Dragapult Dusknoir seems like it could be like decently positioned into this format, but doesn't really have enough playability, or like it's not played enough to really like bring it to that level. We got Gouging Fire. I don't want to put it at 3. Like it beats Charizard, it loses to Charizard, it beats Regidrago. It does okay against Gardevoir, does okay. I'm gonna have to put this one at like 2.5. I want to see it see more success at Birmingham and Rio. I think we're kind of at the point where some of these decks just aren't being played as much. And obviously we can't base everything on that, but like they're just like existing, and it's just like, I don't know. It's one of those things where like I want the deck to do better. I can't place it higher and just like artificially inflate it. So it's going to be at 2.5. It's like there's some life left in that deck. 2.5 are like some great like deep picks. Kind of when you put like a CD on and your friends are all like impressed, be like, who is this, right? And you're like, oh, okay, I got this musical taste. It's kind of like Gouging Fire, I think, is the deck builder's deck. And I think Tor did a great job of kind of picking Terrapagos Dusknoir back out of those depths. We're gonna see Iron Thorns go in 2. I think it's positioned okay into our formats. It's not perfect, but it's positioned like okay. When it comes down to it, I think it's like slightly above 2.5, not so much, not necessarily going to be 1.5. So 2 is kind of the fits right moment. Blocking some abilities, can do okay. I mean, maybe it's okay against like, I mean, it's not good against Gardevoir. It's okay against Regidrago. And it's one of those things where Charizard, it can hold it beats Charizard for the most part. So Lost Zone Box, I'm going to put at 2.5. I don't think it holds its own nearly as much as these other decks. So 2.5 is really going to be where those decks are going to be discarded. Lugia, I'm probably going to, I think with Palkia seeing success, we're going to see some lightning Pokemon come back. Lugia seems like it's a worse play going forward. We're going to go Lugia at 2. It would fall from something like a 1.5 to 2. Seems okay, and I think we're going to see a lot of these decks kind of swoop down to the bottom. We have Palkia Dusknoir. I don't really like how this deck is positioned. It does do well against regular Terrapagos Dusknoir that did come back. I'm going to put it at 2.5, not necessarily 3. I don't think it's super obsolete. And similarly enough, we're also going to have this Palkia. I'm going to put Palkia Terrapagos at 1.5. I don't really have a reason for it other than it won the regionals and saw a lot of success. If anyone knows why Palkia Terrapagos saw all the success it did, it's really weird to me that we saw all of these Terrapagos based decks pop out of nowhere. over this past week. I'm actively involved in the Pokemon community, and I mean, I remember when I saw towards Terrapico's Dusknoir post on social media, and was like, okay, yeah, maybe the goat is bored, and he's bringing back a deck like from the trenches. In a lot of cases, I'm just like, yeah, it's like not 1000% sure. So if anyone knows, let me know in the comments. I'm gonna put Pidgeot here at 1.5. I think Pidgeot controls super well positioned deck. Not a lot of people necessarily piloting it right now. It seems fine. In terms of a deck choice, we saw Sander Wojciech play it at the Birmingham Regional, so maybe we'll see a little bit more play from this one. We got Raging Bolts. I'm gonna give Raging Bolts, I think 2 is gonna be like fine. It seems like it can hold its own against a decent bit of decks, but 2 is kind of like, I think it's like you can make day 2 with these decks pretty often if you're a good player. Obviously they're not Charizard or other decks like Regidrago. Regidrago is going to be our other S tier deck here. To me, that really like just rounds off S tier. I'm looking through a lot of these decks. I don't think a lot of them are S tier right now. So that's probably where S tier is going to end off. Regidrago is just the clear cut BDIF. We see Brent Tonneson, best player in the world right now, playing Regidrago nonstop. If you're not playing Regidrago, you got to find out a deck reason why. Why are you not countering Regidrago? I mean, in terms of competitiveness, Regidrago does a lot. Like, it is just the best deck right now. New to this list this week is going to be Gigas with Pikachu. I think like having like, it did okay. I'm going to put it at 2.5. It had a day 2 in Birmingham. I've heard a few people talk about it. Something with these Area 0 decks, but I don't know if it like fits in super great anywhere else. Just seems fine. I couldn't put it above that because it doesn't have the proven success from other decks here. Turbo Moon, I'm gonna put I think it's probably gonna go 2. 2 is gonna be like kind of the classic, the extension of the top 10 decks kind of format. Same thing like Snorlax. I think Snorlax I'm gonna put there. Seems like okay. Snorlax might actually be 1.5, but maybe not. Maybe just 2, just outside of the top 10. Tropico's Dusknoir, I'm probably going to put at 1.5. I still don't necessarily believe in its matchup with Regidrago. If someone could tell me otherwise, totally would love to hear their opinion on that. But right now, that's kind of where I have that. Cornerstone Mimikyu. I think I'm going to put it at 3. Just like a lot of decks, like we're seeing a lull in Executor and Regidrago. We're seeing a lot of decks that might counter it. We have Dragapult Iron Thorns. I think like to me, this is just like going to be another like 2. When it comes down to it, like it exists in the format, could make day 2. I don't think it's getting so much further. New to this list, we see Future Box, made day 2 at Birmingham. I'm gonna put it at 2.5. Hasn't really seen too much success, but like it can definitely like hold its own in this format, because at least like there's Palkia seeing success. There's a handful of like decks that you could do okay against. Goldango is probably going to stay at 2. So 2 is going to be kind of like that's the place where we put all the decks that I think just can make day 2. I don't think they're necessarily spiking a win. They could maybe spike a top 8. The 1.5 category are really like the decks that I think are going to be in the top 8, top 16. Really there. We're going to put Cloth going right here next to Goldango for same purposes. I think that's really going to be the catch-all. Miraidon. You want to know what? I'm going to have to give Miraidon to 2 again. I don't think I want to put it at 1.5. Palkia winning doesn't necessarily put me, winning Rio, that is, doesn't necessarily put me there. So we see that 2 is going to be the large collection of decks. Those are going to be the decks that largely exist in this format, and like they are kind of like they exist well. Decks beneath that are like decks that could pop up. Not super surprising, but still, like, I don't think I'm gonna see necessarily too many Gigas around me. Decks at number 3 aren't really seeing too much play at all, aren't really seeing too much success at all either, due to lack of play and a variety of other factors. Then kind of moving to the upper half of the list, we see the 1.5 just above 2. These are decks that I expect to see within the top 32 and above, maybe spiking those top 8s. Gardevoir is going to definitely be there in some capacity, just slightly above 1.5. The quality of players playing Gardevoir is a little bit more, it's literally a Gardevoir tier right now. It could either go up 1 or down 1 depending on the day of the Gardevoir player. So if my homie Josh Frink plays Gardevoir and has a great day and makes top 8, well, Gardevoir could have been S. If he just got a little bit unlucky, maybe it's 1.5. And then Drago and Charizard just rule the game right now at S. And I mean, that's kind of where it is. Let me know if there's any decks that you want to know my personal opinion on. I'm sure like you might be like, hey, what about United Wings? What about Dialga Matang? Some of the decks that I was debating making the icons for. If it's not here, it's probably because the icon was taking a hot minute to render, and I'm heading to San Antonio this week. It's tough, okay? But I think that this is a pretty accurate list of the meta. Totally love to hear your opinion. And of course, be sure to check out our sponsors in the description. Ultimate Guard, all of our sleeves come from there, our deck boxes. We have Advanced GG. I totally love their energy kind of powder. That's what keeps me going as a new Pokedad and stuff like that. But I'm gonna have the top 10 best decks going out tomorrow, so stay tuned for that, and we'll see exactly what's going on with the rest of the format. I will catch up with all y'all later. Thank you so much for watching, and as always, if you need anything from me, check out my metafy.gg/@ZachLassage. Peace out and have a great one. Want to support the Shuffle Squad? Be sure to check out all of our sponsors in the description to pick up Pokemon TCG singles, sealed, and PTCG live codes. You made it to the end. Thank you so much for watching this entire video from the Shuffle Squad. Honestly, from the bottom of our hearts, we appreciate each and every person that supports our content, watches what we have going on every single day, every single week, even from time to time, and continuously allows us to have a forum to project our creative content towards the Pokemon TCG community. So if you haven't already, be sure to give this video a like, subscribe to the channel, and even leave a comment to help boost the YouTube algorithm. That being said, we'll catch you with our next video. Thanks again. Take it easy.